Today, I'm joined by Jacob Littorin, who reveals how he became the top ranking estate agent online in Islington, all using Canva, content, and transparency. I hope you enjoy the episode. Jacob, welcome back to the podcast. A huge congratulations. This is your second visit, so you're now officially a friend of the show. So congratulations.
Back in business, as I like to say. Good to be back. Today, we have some really interesting golden nuggets to talk about.
Amazing. Music to my ears. So talk us through. So you are very well known on social media. Everyone knows the purple. When you go to an event, you can spot you a mile off from the purple suit you wore last time, which is amazing. So for those that don't know you from social media, talk us through what's your background? Who are you?
So my name is Jacob Littorin, and I'm an aspiring personal estate agent in Islington, hopefully launching very soon. And until then, what I can do is to prepare myself for that, to build my knowledge about Islington, the property market, how to sell, the process, everything, so that when I do launch, I'm ready.
So you're very different from the other guests we have on the podcast, because normally people come on the podcast and they're like, I've been an estate agent now for the last 20 years, I've been self-employed for the last 2 years or 6 months, and there's sort of lots of property experience on that side, but then they're usually a little bit lacking on sometimes the marketing side. But you're the complete opposite of that, because you've got with regard to actual estate agency side of things, you're very sort of green to it in the nicest way of putting it. But with regard to marketing wise, you're leaps and bounds ahead of most estate agents out there. So was I correct in reading on Instagram or LinkedIn the other day that you rank towards the top, or you are the top, when it comes to estate agents in Islington already?
Took a long time. However, now Google really believes that I'm more relevant than many of the well-established estate agents in Islington, and that's my website, the website I built myself using Wix.com. So that's an achievement. I'm, I can't believe it really that I'm ranking so high now, usually in the seventh place for searches, Islington estate agent, Islington estate agents, etc.
And I think people listening to this might go, okay, so what? Shrug their shoulders and go, okay, Jacob ranks, in the top three or top one estate agent locally in Islington. Why is that important to me? But then I think, fast forward probably 6 months, if that. Most people are going to pick their estate agent by going, hey, ChatGPT, who's the best estate agent around me? And that answer is going to lead quite heavily into who gets called out to value their property. So really now more than ever, it's important to rank brilliantly on social media with regard to SEO, GEO, all the other bits on top of it, because that is going to make a big part of the decision for people to say, who's good around me? Who's the top three agents? Who should I call out? And they'll just go, right, great, there's three people. Can you book them for me? Thanks very much. So is that did you have that in mind when you started doing it, or is it just kind of a convenient outcome that's kind of come along at the same time?
100% being indexable on Google and found on ChatGPT, as well as Google's own AI search summary. So what I believe in is that, okay, when ChatGPT does find me, what more value can I provide to that person who did that search? So what will ChatGPT list below my name when they give that result? So one of those things I want them to list is my property market updates monthly. Every month since July 2023, I've been doing a property market update, and it's just become better and better and better for each month that I've been doing it. So that's one of the big core values of my website.
Mm. I can always tell guests that do well with regard to their online platforms, because whenever we have a podcast like this, it goes on YouTube as well. And obviously, it goes without saying, we need to make a YouTube thumbnail. And so I'll type in their name, estate agent, and then go images. And the ones that are doing it really well, like the entire first page is just pictures of them. The ones that aren't doing so well, I'm like, oh, well, there's kind of a picture of them with someone else. I can crop them out, and it's a bit of a pain sort of thing. So when we were doing this before, I mean, for you, I'm like beating the pictures off of the stick. Like it's like, okay, here's 50 images I can use on the thumbnail. Which one do you want to go for? So where should people be posting or hosting or putting this content? So you mentioned obviously things like market updates. Does that go just on your website? Does that go on socials? Like it's all running good having the content, but what's the distribution method there?
Distribution is first and foremost on my blog on my website, because that makes my website more relevant for Google when it's consistently updated every month. Then I take that article and put it on LinkedIn as an article as part of a newsletter. And that newsletter and article is very strongly indexed by Google, it literally, Google finds it immediately. So when you Google for property market updates, that LinkedIn article appears so fast after you published it, which is crazy. So that's two ways. And then you can record a video as well about that market update and put on YouTube, and then do social posts about that. The way that I've developed my property market update now over the past 2 years is that I started just writing the numbers. Okay, so now 120 sales agreed, 140 new listings. Great. But that took a lot of time. The number one issue with doing a property market update, it takes time. And for estate agents, time is valuable, and we can't spend too much time on doing these sort of things, although they are very important. So the solution here to doing an efficient property market update is using Canva and Canva's built-in graphs function.
So we spoke about this offline quickly before the podcast began, and I spend a lot of my time telling people not to use Canva. And the reason why I tell people not to use Canva is because I have this sort of vision in my head, and it's one of two things, and I see it all the time. Number one is the token sort of, we've just sold this property with the same picture of you in the corner with your thumb up sort of thing, saying yes, we've just sold this property, and literally the Canva template just gets, old picture out, new picture in, post online. Right, I've done that, thank you very much. Or what's even worse than that are like the generic ones that I guess you get from like head office, or you get some person in the Philippines to make for you, and it's like, want to find out what solar panels add to your property value, and you're like, not really. Not really at all. So it's ones that are very token. So talk me through what people are doing wrong in that situation and what they should be doing instead.
What estate agents might be doing wrong using Canva is probably to do new templates all the time. Like, you should do one template and then make it very nice and then use it. But here's the thing, as an agent, you shouldn't be logging into Canva every day. Literally not at all. If you could have an admin that does that for you, that do update these sort of social media posts templates and download them for you, that's great. However, when it comes to the property market, I strongly believe that at least once per month, you can have the time to go onto Canva and update a Canva graph with the numbers. And by the way, that's done automatically. So here's how it works. A Canva graph is an amazing tool for you to create interactive graphs. The graph it takes data from a Google Sheets and links it automatically to that graph. So I believe that as an agent, you really should have knowledge and information about your local property market. And you can get that information through Rightmove Plus, where you can see the number of new instructions, sales agreed, price reductions, and average daily views per property. Great data, by the way. And you can track these on a Google Sheet. So every month, as an activity, as an agent, you go on there and you look at the numbers for the previous month, and you add those numbers to a Google Sheets. Then you have this Canva graph that automatically takes those numbers and adds them to the graph, like in seconds. And then you can just download this graph, or you can share it or embed it, and you can give it to clients. And it's just a very efficient way of staying on top of your market.
And so for your entire market update, how ignoring getting the data to start off with, so ignoring getting the numbers of, 2% up, 2% down, whatever prices, etc. How long does it take you to kind of produce the actual market update that then is going to get uploaded, that then obviously helps you rank?
So right now I have around 8 different graphs. So I have 8 Canva files. And that's just because I could make one Canva file and have 8 different pages. I do 8 different files because I'm embedding them on my website, and then I can't have different pages on every file. Um, but I just add the data to my Google Sheets, and then I take each and every Canva file and click refresh data. And when I click refresh data on that Canva graph, the data gets refreshed, and the next month is added like that. And then I click download as a PNG, and then I just go to my blog or newsletter and I just insert this. And then I do it for every graph, 8 of them. And then you do the header, you write, and then you do the analysis. And this is like, it's such an efficient and easy thing to do because you're learning as well. You're not just providing value to your clients and to your followers and buyers. You're learning as well as you do it. You're learning that this month the average daily views per property was 70 in this area. Great. Last month it was 65. So demand from buyers have gone up. Now you know that. Now you can talk about it. Blows my mind that this is such an easy activity. And if you can't put your time doing it, like you're learning as you do it. And that's amazing.
So I feel like I don't know whether you've used our data prompt at all yet. So effectively, we launched a video a little while ago, which anybody can watch and everyone can use the service about how to get your local property information stats from using ChatGPT. So it was when they launched their deep research model. So therefore, you basically just go, for people who don't know what it is, you have a certain prompt that we have produced. You put it into ChatGPT. You go press deep research, press search, and it just goes off into the internet, works out all the maths for you, and it will come back saying average house price is this, it's gone up, it's gone down, square footage is this, the rental market is doing this, it reduces blogs for you, all this sort of stuff. So, I presume that with that information you can find on using, elements like that, you could then just convert that straight into a market update. And also that would basically be systematizing your market update system because you run that once a month, get the data, put into a Google Sheet, it would upload into your market update, sort of job done.
Absolutely. If you get your data from Rightmove Plus or from a ChatGPT prompt, amazing. The reason to why Canva is superior here is that you can make fully branded graphs. So my graphs are purple, and they use my font, and they use my graphical design elements. And by the way, I create it once and that's it. For every month afterwards, it's just consistently on brand in my blog, on my newsletter. And that's why Canva is superior to like Google Sheets, where you can also do graphs. You can do graphs directly in Google Sheets, but you can't do them fully branded. And by the way, I used to do it like that. And I'm just like, these graphs aren't branded. How can I? And then Canva, they have updated their graphs function and now it's super good.
So effectively, we're systematizing your production of market updates in your business. So I presume that probably to start off with, to set up things like a template and to kind of work it the first time, it's probably a little bit of work, I'd imagine. But then once you've got that set up, you could have a VA or a PA or any kind of assistant kind of just go once a month, right, update figures, thanks very much, put them in there, that's been updated, thank you very much, upload to website. And it's, I would say automated is the wrong word, but it's a little bit hands-on. But a lot of the heavy lifting you've kind of done 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's super efficient. And what you can do then is that you can leverage the sharing tools of Canva. So you can share this graph in different ways. You can do a live public link. So you get a link and you can send it to your clients or to your buyers. And then when they click on that link, you get those analytics. So you can go into that file and you click analytics and you can see how many clicks it has received and from where, and if like the average time they spent on it. So that's why Canva is superior. You can also publish this graph as a website. You can host it under your own domain, and then you can see from where people have visited it, from which country, from which device, how many times they've clicked a button on that Canva file. Because you can have a graph and you can also have a button with a where you can link. So you can link to like a registration form. So if you send this to buyers and you want them to, I don't know, just send in some more details, you can have this little call to action button. And then you can see in the analytics how many times people have clicked that button.
And my mind always goes to how can we get more instructions off the back of this? Like it's like bred into me, right? We've been fantastic. We've got this tool. It works really well. How can we use this to get more instructions and more properties sold? And so thinking out loud here, I guess that every month you would update your lead magnet effectively for your business. And this month might be right. Here's our October market update for the Islington market, for example. And if you want a copy of this, DM me the word October or whatever it may be, or click on this link, which then has you need to put in your name, your email address, maybe even phone number as well to get access to. And therefore, you know that anybody who downloads that isn't doing market update, for example, is kind of giving you a little bit of a wave back to you to say, hey, I'm looking at the market update, what's happening in the local area, might be worth having a chat with me. So, and I guess that your goal over time is to get that link in front of more people. So that's things like growing your database, growing your social media imprint, etc., and also looking at conversion as well. Because you might call it a market update, and you think, okay, well, 1% of people click on that, but then you call it like Jacob's amazing, super cool, what's going on in your town newsletter, and 5% of people click on it. So you're like, okay, well, I'll call it that from now on, sort of thing. So I guess the two things you're looking at there is kind of how do we get in front of more people, and then how do we convert more of those people to cold hard leads for your business.
Yeah. And when they do click on that link, they will be amazed because that graph is interactive. They can click on the lines, they can click on the bars and see the numbers, and that will just blow their mind, literally, because it's not a PNG, it's not a static image, it's not a brochure, it's not a PDF, it's an interactive graph, and they won't see it anywhere else.
And I think that the thing is that it's maintaining people's attention for a period of time. So we've talked historically on the podcast about 7-11-4. So before people know, like, and trust you, there should be 7 hours worth of content, 11 marketing touch points, and 4 different locations. And if you showed me a graph, I'm like, okay, it's gone in. 10 seconds later, it's kind of it's there, sort of thing. Whereas if you've got something that's interactive, you're like, oh, actually, let me have a play with this. Let me click on if I had this sort of house, or if I had that sort of house, or what about in 6 months ago, what was happening, sort of thing. So it keeps that engagement on your site even longer, which obviously, if you brand it correctly, kind of imprints that purple or blue or red or whatever color your website is with the picture of you as well, and it kind of maintains retention for longer.
Yeah. So how about this? You create one Canva file, and in that Canva file, you have 8 different graphs, literally. And they can be very small because when you click on this link, you can zoom in very well, and everything it's vectorized, so it looks really good. You can have 8 graphs, okay? Every month you go in and you update each graph. You click refresh data, in a second it's updated, so you do this in like 10 seconds. Then you have this very nice file. You can click present and record. You record a little video of you talking about these graphs and these numbers in that town. Then you upload that to YouTube and you post it to socials. And then you, as well, after that, you take this link, this public view link, and you send it to your clients. Look at the latest data for this town. And they can just go in and they can look at all these graphs. They can zoom in and look at each graph up close and click on the numbers and just be amazed about how it works. Then in the corner, there's a call to action button for them to click on that, brings them to your website to a registration form where they can insert their details. Let's say that perhaps this is a post on social media, so you didn't even have them in the first place. But there is a lot of things you can do here to register people, to get their details, to provide value, and to stay top of mind.
And I guess it's about having that, I suppose lead flow is probably the best word for it, is to say, right, this is our lead magnet. This month it's our October newsletter, let's say, for example, and we're pumping this out across the board. What are all the ways we can get someone to click on that link, watch that newsletter? There's a call to action within the newsletter, which takes them the next stage down our sales funnel, which is personal information, what's your address, what's your name, etc. Because I think for most agents, the bit they struggle with is getting that person on the phone. Once they're on the phone with them, or they're in the valuation, so kind of from personal contact going onwards, smashing it, like absolutely great. If the number of times I hear, if I just had more valuations, I have an amazing business, because that's what people need more of. So I guess it's having that deal flow in your business and having that sort of lead flow by saying they start here at the top of the newsletter with information that is accurate and valuable to them, they'll find interesting, and the next stage is this. And then after that, they'll go here, and it kind of just flows for the business that way.
Hmm.
So talk me through your mapping side of things, because I know you often send it to me, and I always have a good play with it. Sort of, even though I don't live in Islington, I have no interest in the Islington market particularly, but I always have a good play with the tech side. Talk me through your mapping side of things that you have within your business as well, because even though you've not launched it at all, you've got a really cool interactive tool that you can use with your business.
Yes, so I track Islington property listings on a map. Because when I started doing my property market updates, I saw all these numbers and all these new listings, like 120 new instructions. Great, but what do these properties look like? So I started mapping each property, and now it's over 1,200 properties on a map, fully interactive. And it's created using Google My Maps, which is a tool normally used for planning a vacation, where you can just map the restaurants or museums you want to go to. But I just started mapping listings instead. So I selected an area on Rightmove and created alerts for that area. And then I received the emails of the new listings and I just insert all these listings. But I'm doing a big change now with this map because I've up until now I've inserted all flats as well. But flats take up a lot of time. So the workload on this map is it's a lot. So from now on, it's only going to be houses and maisonettes on this map. So that's what I'm really looking into doing now. But the thing is, I insert the data, the price, the square footage, the condition of the property, bedrooms, bathrooms, and details such as reception rooms and rear gardens, south-facing gardens and balconies, etc. And then I get all these data for all these properties. So 1,200 on a map. I can download all of those properties into a Google CSV file. And in that CSV file on a Google Sheets, as we all know, there is some amazing analysis to be done. So you have the address, you have the price, the square footage. And I'm like, okay, so for a 4-bedroom terraced property in Islington, what's the average price per square foot? And in the Google Sheets, you can do that analysis. But even better, I mean, you can just take that Google Sheets and give it to ChatGPT, and then it can do the analysis for you. So this map is my superpower.
And I presume as well, thinking out loud here, you could even just take that if you wanted to produce, I don't know, a social media post about a quick market snapshot, for example, any of that data you could just upload into ChatGPT these days and say, write me a quick blog about what the average square footage is done over the last 6 months, for example, or how houses compare to masonettes or, detached, versus semi-detached sort of thing. I guess once you've got that data, the sky's the limit with regard to content, which again helps that sort of ranking get to the top and get called out.
Absolutely. The power here is in the knowledge and knowing the details of these listings. Um, I also track the status of the listing, if it's for sale or reduced, sold, completed, or withdrawn. So these are different layers on the map. So I can choose to just look at withdrawn properties in Islington, and I get these map of red pins. And then I can say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to walk around this part of Islington and go to these properties that are withdrawn. A map makes it so much easier and more efficient for someone to bring up their phone, look at the map, and go, I'm going to go here. Because you can have a long list, but lists makes it harder for someone, at least for me, to really know, okay, what's the best way to go about this list now of withdrawn properties? What's the best way? A map makes it so much easier, and that's one of the superpowers of this tool.
Amazing. And you mentioned obviously regularity. So how often, with things like the market update we talked about earlier with regard to the Canva side, how often should that be taking place? Are we talking like once a quarter, once every 6 months? So once you've obviously got it set up, it's quite a quick process. How often should we be pumping that content out, do you think?
Yeah, once a month.
Okay.
Definitely. Definitely. And I really believe that as the agent, or if you're a managing director, or if you're a self-employed agent, you should be looking at the numbers because you're the one that goes out to talk to people. You should know that the average daily views per property is 70. And we all learn differently. I learn by doing. So I learn when I insert these numbers to my Google Sheets, I learn that it's 70 right now and 120 sales agrees. That's me. I really just believe in doing that work because you're an agent. You should know your local property market update and data and do
Amazing.
that.
Jacob, thank you so much for coming on. To say you're an inspiration to get to, the amount of marketing you're doing and how you are slowly taking over Islington without even selling a house in Islington is remarkable to say the least. I mean, I dread the day for the agents in Islington when you actually start listing and selling properties because I'll be like, oh my God, he's gone from like first on Google to like, 0 on Google. He's like, so he's doing so well, but I haven't got to kind of look in whatsoever. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast yet all over again. Um, what I think you should do at some point in the future is like a little screen share video about how you do all this stuff, by the way, because I think that would be really, really awesome to have a screen share by you going through and saying, right, this is actually how you do it. Because I think, talking about it is great, but I think nothing teaches someone like actually seeing someone do it. So, side note, I think you should be something you should absolutely do. And I think we would absolutely love if, you saying, right, this is how you do it, this is how you update it, here's how it uploads, and here's how it looks at the end. So people can look at it and just take it on board and go, actually, yeah, I probably could do that myself.
100%. That would be, yeah, something to look into for sure. Thank
Good
you,
project.
Jake. Chris. Great to be on your podcast again. Uh, Back to business.
Back to business as always. Well, thank you so much, buddy. We'll catch up very soon.
We will definitely. Take care. Cheers.